Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again, and Yuma again. We're going to have two short speakers this afternoon and then a Q&A session. So as you listen to our speakers, please think of issues that you really want us to explore in a bit more depth, because the whole topic of AI, accessibility and digital transformation is far more to do than the time we have allowed for it, but we'll try and make it work as well as possible. So I'm thrilled that our first speaker is Justin Kelly. I was very, very keen for him to be on this conference. He's a State Library Victoria Digital Fellow and absolutely passionate about digitisation of library collections to create a whole new range of knowledge and interaction. So because he's got such a short period of time, I will hand over to you right away, Justin. Thank you, everyone.
Cool. Thank you very much for that introduction, Roxanne. And firstly, thank you, Alia, for the opportunity to present here. I really, really appreciate it. So today I'm going to talk about AI, accessibility, and how this relates to a library's digital transformation. And one thing, so I'll say a very quick background about myself. Back in 2019, before I started working at State Library, I was awarded the Digital Fellowship. So that was really to look at how can we use AI for our library's digital objects? And it was really broad type spectrum of what I was looking at. And after, I suppose, review of literature and working in the field, the main thing how I see AI can really help libraries is in the field of accessibility. And when I say accessibility, I'm not talking about, a lot of people think that just means blind people. I'm not talking about blind people. I'm talking about visually impaired people, people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, and you'll see what I'm talking about later. People who are learning or cognitive disabilities, even we're talking about younger learners, kids in primary school, and we'll talk about people from First Nations background. Specifically, why we talk about First Nations background, if we look at the health statistics, they're 3 times more likely to have serious eye or serious visual impairment. So that's why we bring up these type of people when we talk about accessibility. And I'd like to talk about, shout out to this slide that we're looking on right here. If we look back a couple of years ago, if I threw this image at some of our OCR technology, we'd be very lucky to get back SS191, really lucky. But now with the new technology that we've got available and that extreme speed that AI is advancing, a lot of this really complex handwritten documents can be automatically transcribed. And that's only one small aspect. What I'm trying to talk to you about today is the AI we can do on the transcribed text and the really amazing enrichments that we can do. So I'll quickly go through to my next slide. And we'll talk about how this relates to digital transformations. If we look at the mission statements of places like State Library of Queensland, South Australian State Library, or my place, State Library of Victoria, they all talk about explicitly removing barriers. And what does that mean? State Library of Queensland have a lot of focus on physical. State Library New South Wales have done so much great stuff with Tiger, transcriptions and whatnot. And State Library Victoria is always trying to put more digitisation objects online. But I always think about digital transformations. You go back to the first speaker today, Marek, talking about what is now possible that was not possible. So digital transformation, I always think about who are we not serving with our current digital platforms. A lot of us from state libraries, universities, we've all got digital image repositories. And who are we not serving? Go back to what we originally said. People with visual disabilities, culturally and linguistic backgrounds, younger learners, and people with learning disabilities. So that's not that's who we're not serving. And I suppose hopefully when we talk about digital transformations, this is the type of people and the tools that we have to do. So it's the digital transformations, and hopefully I can quickly show you some of the things AI can do, and talk to you about the technology that was not possible, that is now possible. So I'll quickly show you here. This is an image I've pulled up from State Library Victoria. And again, if couple of years ago, you threw this at an OCR or any type of text transcription technology, you'd be very lucky to get a couple of words out at most. Possibly it may say cathedral, something like that, if you're really, really lucky, just because the contrast is so bad. But if we throw this now at a lot of the OCR or the AI technologies, it doesn't just give us the text extraction, it actually does text extraction, automatically describe the picture, tag it, categorize it. That's just the text, the image bit. Then we can do text AI. So we can pull out what are the key phrases, what language is the document reading in, can we translate it? And the third step, which I'm really, really passionate about, is the automatic enrichment. So this, in this document here, it can do stuff like geolocation. Based on the words that they bring in the text, is it mentioned to any current day locations? So again, if I do the text extraction, a lot of times people would think, oh, it's just going to say St. Paul's Cathedral, Swanston Street, whatever it is. But it's actually much better than that nowadays. We can go zoom right into the background and here, and it gives us so much more information. So right here, if I had to zoom in 5,000% to read this myself, this says Cathedral Hotel, and up here at the top it says Lipton's Tea. So again, once we've got that extracted, which again is quite new technology, we can get the enrichment of it. So that's where you can automatically link to existing organizations and link to things like Wikipedia. So why we care about this, and what's this got to do with accessibility? If you had any type of visual disability and you were just given this object, it'd be extremely hard to find the real context of this information, which is things like Cathedral Hotel. Cathedral Hotel is really interesting because it doesn't exist anymore. It's actually Melbourne City Square. I'll go to the next one. So this one here is a new one I did the other day. This is based on a World War I handwritten diary that's in the State Library Victoria. And again, State Library Victoria, only a very, very small fraction of our information is actually being transcribed. And what it can do, even though it was not very accurate, it was about 15% of the words from this document it could transcribe correctly. But what it can do is pick up the locations and actually give us geolocations and put it onto a map. So here we've got a few words. I can't pronounce this in French, so I'm not going to try. This one here is Havre, and this one here, there's another one here as well. But it's able to pick those up as well, not just words, but also that they actually mean locations. And this one here was not transcribed correctly, but if I open it up on Google Maps, you can quickly find out what that location refers to. Now, I'll quickly talk about this. This is the Jenkins diary. So State Library Victoria staff and volunteers have spent 13 years to transcribe 21 of the 25 volumes at 99% accuracy. So what can AI technology do at the moment? It can actually transcribe a lot of these at quite high accuracy very quickly. And before we looked at, even if it's only 10 or 15% accurate, it's good enough for researchers and that to get useful information out. So I've got here actual links. It's live API. It totally works fine. But I'll show you some more interesting stuff. So we did automatically transcribe 3 full volumes. It only took a couple of hours and it cost me a total of $8. $8. Oh, it's $8 and a couple of hours to do 3 full volumes. Okay, and we're talking 21 volumes at 13 years. So even though I don't even care if it's 1% accurate, that's a really huge improvement as far as I'm concerned. Next one, quickly talk about technology. So everything, my project is totally open source and we use open standards. If you go to biblio.ai in your browser, it's fully open source, it's available now, and it works with library standards. Well, here, quick diagram is we use OAI. So a lot of digital repositories have OAI. So we harvest the OAI and then process it with a couple of different AI technologies and make it available as an API. So I've done that for a lot of Swinburne and also State Library content. Again, it's OAI, it can work with any image repository or any digital repository. We say, oh, you know, how do the users, how do I actually use it? Because we've got an API server, we can spread out HTML, which makes it nice and readable for us, but mainly say JSON. So this would be a developer could integrate it into a digital viewer or into your image repository. Mark XML. So you can have a totally undescribed image. We can give it to the AI and it can produce Mark XML that then can be imported straight into a library system, as well as things like OA, PMH for just integrate into your discovery layer. So what's up? So that's currently just talking about just images. So what's up? We can also do, which I'm looking at, is audio. PDF. So PDF, think about theses. Do the text extraction and the AI enrichments on theses or PDF repositories, and also video. If you think about learning repositories, if we want to automatically get the text out of convert spoken text and also do the enrichment, I think there's a huge amount of improvements that we can do there. And again, I'm talking about this online all the time, so feel free to hit me up on Twitter, my blog, or email me. It's totally fine. And again, totally open source, can be used with any digital image repository at the moment, and it's free of charge.